As the mutants of Krakoa continue to have their island home assaulted by the Hex, will they too end up be judged as wanting by the celestial god? Well, let's hop into the pages of X-Men issue number 13 and number 14 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so I'm late and only now catching up on these, so bear with me for a little bit, will you? As we join issue 13, we once again see the assault on Krakoa by the giant mechanical Hex. And I know what you're probably thinking, because Lord knows I was thinking it myself. How many times and how many different angles can we see this one battle from? I feel like we've seen it in 4 different tie-ins already. If nothing else though, this issue does actually serve as a rather interesting trial by fire for the brand new X-Men team lineup. You'll recall that they had only just put together the brand new team at the end of the Hellfire Gala, and basically right after that, the Judgment Day event started. So yeah, you got all these different people who still aren't totally sure how they work together or how they fit together as a unit just yet, and that's basically what this story tries to explore. We see Jean Grey reach out psychically to I.C.E of the Good Eternals to ask for help on how to deal with these strange otherworldly Hex agents. As I.C.E explains, the Hex travel via these strange subspace networks that allow the Eternals to travel all over the known world. Also, because they're more machine than humanoid, I.C.E thinks that they can be shut off if the mutants are able to destroy the generators buried deep under the Earth's crust. The only problem is those generators are ultimately fed from the armory, which, as you will remember from reading the main Al Ewing Eternals book, is under the control of Uranus, and attempting to go against him or the armory has usually always spelled death for anyone who's tried. This is why I.C.E opts to lead a team of the good movie adjacent Eternals behind enemy lines to help soften up the armory so the mutants can come on in and shut it all down. In fact, if you read the special Axe Judgment Day Death to Mutants tie-in, then you would have already seen that mission through the eyes of I.C.E and the Eternals. Another really interesting wrinkle to this conversation that Jean has with I.C.E is that I.C.E is very adamant that the mutants not actually kill any Eternals, though he's not honest with her about why they shouldn't. Again, if you read the Al Ewing book, then you already know that the dark true secret behind Eternals' immortality is actually every time one of them dies and gets resurrected, a human on Earth dies to help balance things out. In fact, it was that revelation that actually sent I.C.E and the other good movie adjacent Eternals into something of a moral tailspin that ended up, well, basically where we are now in the Judgment Day story. Raiding the Hex generator does offer up some fun opportunities for this new X-Men team to show what they're made of. Forge realizes that they just can't simply blow up the generator lest they'll cause an unknown amount of damage to the rest of the world, so instead they decide that they're just gonna freeze it. Lucky for them, Iceman is an Omega mutant and Sync is there too to double the ice power capability. In fact, I think they say they put more ice trying to freeze the generator here than they did terraforming Mars. It's a good thing too that Sync was trying to copy Iceman's power, because he gets his arm cut off by one of the security robots there, and he would have been maimed if his body wasn't already ice. Duggan also continues to play with the idea that maybe Forge isn't 100% trustworthy, as he goes out of his way to actually steal a bunch of Eternal technology from the battle, even though maybe he shouldn't have. Again, I wouldn't be shocked at all if something like this ended up coming back later in a big way. We also have Havoc on the team too, and he's actually rather uncharacteristically upbeat and happy for a change. He thinks that with this battle won, the day is saved and they can all go to Blob's Tiki Bar and hang out for a bit. Little did he know that, oh yeah, that's right, the Avengers and the other Eternals built a goddamn god, and now that god is ready to stand in judgment of all of them, and if they are found wanting, the entire world is going to end up getting destroyed. What a bummer. Now the next issue, issue 14, the one that came out this week, is also still technically listed as a tie-in to Judgment Day, but it actually has very little to do with the main overarching story. Instead, our sights are set on Iceman. Apparently Bobby had just helped save the entire world, and a journalist wants to print an entire interview she did with him wherein he actually comes out to the world as a gay man, only for her crotchety editor to end up turning the whole piece down. Because of that, we end up turning the clock back and seeing what exactly it was Iceman did to save the world. It seems that while the X-Men are actively fighting the Hex, a group of alien criminals dressed in Black Nova helmets, no, I don't understand why that's going on, maybe someone else in the comments section can enlighten me, come to Earth to once again try and claim the bounty on the planet set by Game World. These aliens are of course woefully misinformed because the X-Men of Krakoa had already taken down and taken over Game World in the last arc. And well, these guys are easy enough to defeat thanks to Cyclops magic and the others, they don't get there in enough time before these doofuses end up actually launching something called a flare generator into the sun. Which, for what it's worth, is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to create a massive solar flare, and in doing so end up cooking the entire Earth. It's for these reasons Iceman ends up getting called away from the battle with the Hex, so he can be hurled into space by Jean Grey in order to save the Earth from utter destruction. I do kind of love the idea that Earth actually faces multiple extinction level scenarios at any given time, and that the X-Men literally had to take a break from one apocalypse to go deal with another apocalypse. Once again, Duggan really goes out of his way to remind us that Bobby is a goddamn Omega level mutant, and because of that he's able to create a massive, almost planet-sized ice shield to absorb multiple different solar flares. He also does this while falling in and out of Earth's gravity. Luckily, he has nothing to worry about when your friends are the X-Men and they're able to use their own amazing abilities just to pick you right back up. In fact, in a nice artistic choice, when the solar flare bounces off the ice, it ends up creating a beautiful little rainbow that Iceman rides all the way back to Earth. It's on their way back through the Krakoan portal, Iceman ends up coming face to face with that journalist from the beginning of the issue. She asks for an interview and he actually ends up telling her a whole lot. He talks about his personal struggles as a mutant and a gay man. He also says that the reason he hasn't returned to his more human form in the last little bit is that he's trying to actually be an inspiration for young people and young mutants all over the world, that they too can love and accept themselves and embrace who they truly are without fear. In fact, after hearing the whole story, the crotchety editor actually ends up giving in to the journalist and the story will be printed as is. Oh, but wait, we're not actually done yet, because before the comic can properly conclude, Cyclops himself actually goes to have a one-on-one face-to-face with the Celestial God. Scott says he doesn't put much stock into the Celestial's judgment because at the end of the day he does not think the Celestial is a true authority on the matter, and the only person whose judgment Cyclops cares at all about is his own beloved wife, Jean. Aw, what a sweet wife guy Scott is. But hey, wouldn't you know it, as Cyclops walks away, the Celestial actually does give him the big thumbs up anyway, because ultimately he was judged and judged worthy. And I mean, really, why not? Cyclops has been the heart and soul of this series and one of the few mutants who hasn't actively let Krakoa slowly corrupt him. And so everybody, that was X-Men number 13 and number 14, and overall I thought these two issues were fine. In fact, I probably enjoyed them more getting to read them both back to back. As tie-ins, I wouldn't say either of them actually contained any really important information that you're going to need to be reading the rest of the Judgment Day event, and as standalone X-Men stories, well, I mean, it's nice to see Iceman get the spotlight. Feels like he hasn't had it in a while. Starting a new series and introducing a new team lineup was always going to be a little difficult when you were also doing it as part of a bigger event, but I think Duggan does just fine in the task. Overall, I'd give this one a 7 out of 10.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cave Jewel, and if you're seeing me right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, which I am very appreciative of. It really helps drive engagement and retention and all that other good YouTube stuff. So does liking and commenting. Wink wink. If you like my content too, you should check out my Patreon page. We just redid all the tiers, so there's a ton of great rewards. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month, and well, it would just really help me out. It's never expected, but always appreciated. So until next time everyone, I've been Cape Joel, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.